that President Trump said, basically, if Russia is not serious about peace talks, within 50 days he will slam secondary sanctions on countries like India, China and Brazil. So my encouragement to these three countries particularly is, if you live now in Beijing or in Delhi, or you are the president of Brazil, you might want to take a look into this, because this might hit you very hard. So please make the phone call to Vladimir Putin and tell him that he has to get serious about peace talks, because otherwise this will slam back on Brazil, on India and on China in a massive way. So I think it was a very smartly, wisely designed announcement yesterday by President Trump.
India is once again caught in the middle of a global storm. And once again, it is about the oil India buys from Russia. NATO and the United States have sent a clear warning. If India continues to trade energy with Moscow, it could face secondary sanctions. That means Indian companies doing business with Russia could get penalized by the West. At the center of all this is the war in Ukraine. Western countries, including the US and Europe, have been trying to isolate Russia ever since it invaded Ukraine in 2022. They've banned most Russian oil and imposed economic sanctions. But these sanctions are leaking. Russia is still making billions by selling oil to countries like India and China. India is now Russia's biggest oil buyer. Oil from Russia is discounted, though not as much as before, and it helps India manage prices at home. But NATO says this trade is helping Russia fund its war. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has now warned that India, China, and Brazil could face 100% secondary sanctions if they do not stop buying Russian energy. So what are these secondary sanctions? These are not aimed directly at Russia. These are sanctions that punish companies, banks, or countries that help Russia by cutting them off from the US financial system and international trade. That could affect Indian refiners, shippers, or exporters. This comes as US President Donald Trump has called for multiple ceasefires between Russia and Ukraine and slammed Russian President Vladimir Putin for not agreeing to peace talks. India's government, for now, says it has not received a direct tariff letter from Trump's team. And according to reports, India is likely to be spared, at least for now. Talks are on for a possible interim trade deal, which may set US tariffs on Indian goods below 20%. But that deal is not final. Why does India matter so much in this story? Because it is not just about oil. India has been trying to walk a fine line between the West and Russia. India is also a founding member of BRICS, where PM Modi just attended the BRICS summit in Rio, and Trump threatened tariffs on any BRICS country that does not align with American policies. India buys weapons from Moscow, energy from Russian firms, and also trades heavily with the US and Europe. Until now, that balancing act has worked. But Trump's tough line and NATO's warning suggest that may come under strain again. If secondary sanctions hit Indian firms, it could disrupt oil supplies. It could also raise fuel prices at home and hurt Indian companies that do global business, especially those that depend on Western markets or banks. There is also the China factor. India sees Russia as a counterweight to China. But if the West forces India to pick a side, things could get tricky. India continues to buy Russian oil, just as they did even when the Russia-Ukraine war began, despite Western pressure.
It is our fundamental obligation to ensure that the Indian consumer has the best possible access on the most advantageous terms to international markets. And in that respect, quite honestly, we have seen that the India-Russia relationship has worked to advantage. So if it works to my advantage, I would like to keep that going.
But considering an uncertain geopolitical backdrop, reports say India is still exploring other options, including buying more from the Middle East and Africa. Still, Russia offers steep discounts, and switching quickly could hurt India's economy. So that's unlikely to happen. For a while now, countries have been using oil, trade, and sanctions as weapons. India is right in the middle of this global chessboard, and the next few weeks could shape its future role in the world economy. If a trade deal is signed with the US, and sanctions are avoided, India could emerge stronger as a country that managed to hold its ground. But if talks fail, and Trump or NATO go ahead with penalties, India may have to rethink its strategy. India has always walked the diplomatic tightrope well. But now, with Trump making deals and NATO threatening penalties, we'll have to wait and see what actually happens. We'll keep tracking this story. Stay tuned to Mint.